The tranquility of night melts away from the golden shores of Arn. Slow and soft the sun rises, casting a new day across the great void of space. Its rays shine in to shake the slumber of the lazy kestrels. But the robins are up. The Dartfords too. But will they be on their way today? Find out on Springwatch. Hello and welcome to Springwatch 2024, coming to you from the beautifully sunlit Arn Nature Reserve down here in Dorset. Just look at it. I proclaim the finest nature reserve in the UK this evening. Credit to the RSPB.
Looks like the Serengeti. Oh, look at it.
Well, yes, minus a few wildebeest, of course. Got a great programme coming up. I want to start strong, though. Take a look at this. Hayden Baines spotted this. It's a vixen suckling, well, we tried to count, maybe 8 of those cubs. Oh, it's just joyous, isn't it? Look at them, tumbling and rolling in that verdant green grass. What a sight. Oh,
what a way to start. How
so
chuffed would you be to see that in your back garden?
I'd be chuffed and chuffed again on top.
Amazing.
I really would. Tonight we've got Yellow Williams. He's going to be looking for live badgers. Megan is after red kites. We're going to be announcing the winner of our Wildlife Heroes Over 18 award. And we've got Passalocus eremita. Yeah. It's World Environment Day, so we decided to give you a very special organism.
Everyone's going to be looking that up now.
Don't look up Passalocus eremita. Save it for later in the programme. It's pretty special.
OK, we are on fledge alert. As Chris said, would those robins and Dartford warblers go? Well, we were trying to guess which day they would go. Let's start with the Dartford warblers, because you said today, I said Thursday. Let's take a look. Are they still there? What happened over the last 24 hours? There we go, let's have a look at the nest. Well, they're still there. It's looking good for me at 9:06 in the morning. But then, as the male takes a little fecal sac out, one of them decides to leave. It's certainly looking better for Chris, because he guessed today 2 little fluffy chicks are still in the nest. Maybe they're waiting for tomorrow. The adult comes in, gives them a feed. Will they stay or will they go? The adult flies out, beckoning them to follow, and they do. So all 3 of them have gone into the big wide world. They don't go very far to begin with. And in fact, that's the male with his glorious red eye thinking, thank goodness I haven't got any more hungry chicks to feed. Settles down with a snack in his mouth. But one comes back. We all know what that's like, don't we? That generation of boomerang chicks. It's come back. The male's not giving up then. The male is not giving that snack to the chick, nudges the chick to leave, and eventually gives it a little shove up the butt, and off it goes. So I'm delighted to say that they fledged. I'm not so delighted to say that you won that bet. But let's do the robins first, because you might have won that one. But what did you say for the robins?
I said the robins would leave on Thursday. Today is Wednesday.
I said Saturday. Let's
see.
see.
Let's see what's been going on in the last 24 hours in that robin's nest. The nest, as you know, if you've been watching previously, is in one of the RSPB's barns here. Use it for their tractors and tools. Robins are in and out all the time. They don't mind the human activity. They've accustomed themselves to that long ago. And we've been watching both of the adults bringing in a great range of different invertebrate food. Here they go, bring in yet more food. Got 4 youngsters in the nest here. This was yesterday. And they look quite small here, snuggled down in the nest with just their gapes showing. As I say, those adults are backwards and forwards all the time. Here, they look a little larger. You can see they've got that lovely speckled plumage that we see on our young robins. And here we are this morning, 4:21. First one takes itself to the brink and then takes a bold step for robin kind as it launches itself into the somewhat wider world. It's a little later before the second one decides to leave, and it sneaks out the back. Maybe a wise move. It's found itself somewhere secure up in the rafters. Eventually finds somewhere to settle, has a little bit of a tumble, but it ends up in amongst the tools, so it's going to be perfectly safe there. And of course the adults, when they come back in, will hear those chicks calling and they'll find them to feed them. Not long after that one went, the third chick is again on the edge of the nest. Here it goes. And that left just one in the nest. Adults are coming in, feeding them, just as I say, that double contact call will work. And I was thinking, go on, just stay there. All you got to do is hang around for 12 hours, wait till tomorrow morning. But sadly, just after 12, well, sadly and gladly, the last little robin flew out of the nest.
So you got that one wrong. I got it very wrong.
Well,
so
within 12 hours.
I know. I'm giving it to you. I'm giving you credit here. You got one right. You got one nearly right. I'm not going to give you your pound. Instead, I'm going to give you the long spade from the shed.
Spade. Look at that. I love a long spade. Look how long that shaft is. That's got to be, what, 175 centimetres of shaft. What a spade.
You are so chuffed with that. Look at your little happy face.
Look, listen, it's a bloke thing, right?
It
You know,
really
we love a
isn't it?
spade like this. I could dig something that you might slide into with if you can.
Charming. Anyway, so we're very happy. It's been a good week, hasn't it, so far? We've had 2 lots of nests actually fledged. So we've got some new nests, of course we have. We've still got another week and a bit to go. So there is our variety of nests. See if you can spot the new ones. There's a couple in there. I'm going to take you to the linnet nest. This is a brand new nest. And let's have a look. There's one of the chicks. There are actually 4 chicks in there. You can just see the other one breathing, little tufts of feathers sticking up on its head. Let's see if we can have a better view of it though, because we've been filming it over the last 24 hours. And there we are in the gorse with our camera outside. This is actually a really delightful little family. There are 4 chicks, 12 to 13 days old. That's the female with the stripy chest. And the male is the one with that lovely blush on its chest. But as I say, 12 to 13 days old, they could fledge at the weekend. I'm not going to make any bets this time.
No.
But they could be gone by Monday, so we need to give them a little bit of love tomorrow, I think, the linnets.
Started well there, then 2 nests fledging, a new nest for you to keep your eyes on. Remember, you can do that from 7 in the morning until 10 at night, and that's not the only nest that wants attention. Remember the oyster catchers? They could be on the brink at any moment. We'll try and catch up with them a bit later in the show. But for now, that's enough from here at Arn. Let's head north to a spot where Megs has found a few less midges, perhaps.
Only a few though, Chris. I mean, we're talking maybe 1 or 2 less. No, I'm just kidding. There's quite a few less, actually, which I'm really appreciating. And we're continuing on our Scottish journey today. We've left behind the shores of Loch Lomond and Seine, and we're in Argety, a fantastic rewilding estate and working farm. It's so impressive what they're doing here. It's been going on for 100 years with 6 generations looking after 1,400 acres, and it really is teeming with wildlife. Everything from woodpeckers to nuthatches, making the most of the larder that's provided for them, iconic red squirrels, of course, making the most of all the food they can find at this time of the year, caching away for winter. And the ones at Argety are actually quite confident. But there is also a secretive mammal lurking in the watery spaces, and we're going to be diving into their biology in tomorrow's show. But perhaps what Argety is most known for, what really is at its heart, are red kites. Red kites have got to be some of the most glamorous, beautiful birds of prey that we have in the UK. And sadly, they weren't always a familiar sight. It's reported that in 1870, they went extinct across Scotland, England and Ireland, although there was a small population in Wales, due to persecution. We really did miss them, so thanks to amazing conservation efforts by absolute heroes like Roy Dennis, reintroduction started. The first one between 1989 and 1994, red kites from Sweden were brought into the Black Isle, and then in 1996 to 2001 they were brought in to Doon, which is right round the corner from Argety, and it was thought that about 100 birds were brought in at that time, and fast forward to now, there's between 300 and 350 red kites nesting in Scotland, which is just a fantastic success. Now we're here by the feeding station with Steve, our wildlife long lens camera operator, hoping to get a shot of a red kite live for you. Come on, Steve, have we got one? I see there might be. There we go. Beautiful red kite showing us how they soar so expertly through the sky. I'm so excited when a plan comes together and we get live animals. Looking beautiful, looking down if there's any carrion that it can perhaps go and get. Now, of course, here at Argety, it's a massive team effort, which is why I'm so excited to be joined by Lynn today, who works on the farm with her family. Hello, Lynn.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so thrilled to be able to see the red kites here, but it must have been quite a moment for you when you saw them for the first time.
It was amazing. Actually, it's rather embarrassing to admit now that I didn't know what they were.
You wouldn't?
No, but because there weren't any, but they were absolutely beautiful and so athletic. I mean, what a moment.
Yeah, a really exciting moment in history. And of course, you've set up the feeding station. What was the motivation for that?
Well, the kites had chosen us, but we soon realised that it was a very fragile situation. That first year, there were 20 baby birds released. And they were so rare that the bird watchers wanted to see them. And so it was a management problem. How do you protect the birds, but let people see them and learn about them? And so we put in a very simple infrastructure. We put in the hide, we put in the car park, and started welcoming people onto the farm and telling them about the kites. And that was the start of it.
But it's a great way, isn't it, for people to connect with nature and also come and see them without causing disturbance. And you're kind of in control of that then.
Well, I suppose you are, but it also gives us a chance to really dispel some of the myths about the kites, which I think is really important.
Yeah, totally agree. And I guess because a lot of the same kites come down to feed every single day, are there any characters that you can pick out and get to know?
Yes, I think S3 and S4.
Right.
From their wing tags, so S3 and S4, these were chicks that were in a nest that we got a camera on. And we'd watched the eggs being laid, we'd watched them hatch, and then there was a spring storm. And all the trees round that nest tree fell.
Oh God, except for that one nest tree?
Except for that one nest tree.
That's so
and we
lucky.
didn't know till the next morning because the power had failed, so the camera had gone off. That nest survived. S4 actually fell out of the nest and had to be rescued.
Oh gosh.
But they're both still here.
Yeah.
2011 they were hatched and they're still here and they're still causing trouble.
They're cheeky, they're bold.
They're cheeky.
I
and
love a
bold,
cheeky
yeah,
bird, it's great.
yeah.
But of course, there's so many other wildlife that makes their home here. It's not just the red kites, is it? It's so much.
No, it isn't. I mean, we've done a lot of work putting up nest boxes for barn owls and kestrels, and that's been really successful. We've got a goshawk, although we don't see it very often. And of course, the red squirrels that you mentioned. Plus, I think 100 different birds have been recorded on Argety.
Well, that's a huge testament, isn't it? That farming and nature are one in the same thing and they both can support each other.
You can do it. You can do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Thank you for
Lynn.
coming.
God, thank you brilliantly. Oh gosh, Lynn Bowles, amazing conservation effort going on here at Argety. And later on in the show, I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about the forked tail. Of course, it's the ID. It's how we ID them when we see them in the sky, isn't it? That iconic forked tail. So we'll be learning a bit about the aerodynamics of that later on. And personally, I just wish I could be up there soaring with them. And I reckon Yolo Williams back down at Garston Woods has exactly the same dream as me.
Yes, do you know what, Meg? I remember the bad old days when it was just a handful of pairs confined to mid-Wales, and look how well they've done since. Fantastic birds. Well, I've come back here to the RSPB's Garston Wood Reserve, and yesterday we showed you just how fantastic a place it is for all kinds of wildlife. From the canopy, it looks like a tropical rainforest, all the way down to the forest floor. It is jam-packed full of plants and animals. Oaks, birch, coppice, hazel, it's got the lot. And because it's managed, of course, it's a brilliant place for wildlife. But yesterday, we concentrated on the small things. We do actually have some big mammals here as well. And just in the wood down there is a badger set. And we are hoping to bring you live badgers tonight. But before we set everything up, earlier this week, I went into the woods to have a look around. Here's a set here. Got a deep hole going down there. There's some fresh diggings here. There's even fresher stuff just over here. This is not the main set, this is a satellite set. This will be used occasionally by members of the family, maybe members of the extended family. The main set will be bigger again. We'll go on and try and find that one. You can always tell the badger's track because They're very much creatures of habit, and it's a very clear, very distinctive path they've got. And part of the reason for that is because they use it so much, but the other reason is they have short legs. They have short legs and quite a fat belly. So when they're just walking along, the belly will act almost like a broom, brushing this path. Right, let's follow this. Oh wow, here we are. Holes here, there and everywhere. There's a hole here. There's a hole there. There's another one over there. Wow, look at this place. Look. 2, 3, looks like the surface of the moon. This set has got to cover an area maybe 150 metres by 100 metres. One of the biggest I've ever seen. There's got to be, what, 70 plus holes here? And those are just the entrance holes. You imagine the network of tunnels and chambers underground here. It's huge, it's sprawled out, but as far as I can see, only maybe a dozen of those have been used fairly recently, and there's no way of telling exactly how many badgers are here. And actually the only way to find that out is to put up camera traps and come back and check them later on. I'll tell you what, that is a big set. That is a huge set, and we did set out a camera trap where we thought we saw most activity. Now, did we get what we wanted? Well, we saw quite a few things. Grey squirrels, lots of those in the woodlands here. We also had a jay come around and have a look. And we did get a badger eventually. Yes, indeed, a badger came by. Not one badger, but as soon as that one's gone, we had another badger come through as well. And not 2 badgers, but possibly 3 badgers. Now, we haven't had time to have a look at these in any great detail, but we know we've got at least 2, possibly 3 badgers. So we're in the right place. We did find something else as well. We found a pile of bones by the entrance to one of the holes, and I've got them here, and I've got to say thanks to Rick Morris from Shropshire Mammal Group for confirming what we thought they were. And here they are. That is a skull, or partial skull, of a lagomorph. Now, a lagomorph is a hare or a rabbit. We think it's a rabbit. We also have a rib bone here. Small, delicate looking, but tough bone. We also have a pelvic bone. We found about half a dozen of these pelvic bones. I haven't got all the bones here. We picked up quite a few of these as well. That is the big leg bone, the femur. And we had, and these are all, we think, rabbit bones, by the way, a tibia and a fibula. That is the lower leg bone below the knee. We had one different bone here. It's much lighter bone. Belongs to a bird, a sort of medium-sized bird. We're not sure what it is. We think it's something like a crow or possibly a wood pigeon. So just an example of what we dug up there, what we found by the entrance. Now, is this a badger? Well, we'll look into that later on. We also later on, of course, are hoping to bring you live badgers. Now, when I go home, walk around my garden, what brings me greatest joy is taking a cup of tea to my little pond. It's only 2.5 metres by 1.5 metres, but I spend hours just staring, watching the damselflies, the dragonflies, the marsh marigold. But little did I know how much action goes on below the surface. At the end of a manicured garden, a rather formal pond. All very genteel above the surface. Down here, it's anything but. Pond life galore. And while the usual suspects go about their business, a curious event is underway. Over 100 tiny, translucent eggs have been meticulously moulded around these plant stems, fixed with a sticky slime. And inside, great pond snails are developing. In just 2 weeks, they hatch as fully shelled miniature molluscs. They'll eventually grow to be the UK's biggest native pond snail, with a 6-centimetre shell earning them that name, great. But right now, so soon after hatching, they need to feed that ambition. What they lack in speed, they make up for in efficiency. Using a specialised tongue covered in a band of teeth, they scrape the algae and decaying matter off the leaves, giving them all the nourishment they need. But they're not the only youngsters in search of a meal. A great diving beetle larva, a peril of the pond. It'll sink its pincers into anything that strays too close. And the adult is just as fearsome, darting around the undergrowth, fast and deadly. The slow, immature snail is surely a sitting target. Or is it? They're not as slow as they look. These young snails need to keep moving to keep out of trouble. Air bubbles inside the shell mean that the snail can control its buoyancy. They float to the water's surface much faster than they could on foot. And with larger shells comes more air, giving the older snails an even faster ascent. At the top, the bubble-bearing snails stay flipped upside down. In this inverted world, they treat the water surface like any other, effortlessly gliding on a thin layer of slime. It's also an opportunity to catch their breath. Pond snails can breathe underwater through their skin, but in more stagnant conditions like these, they use a specialised tube that they poke above the surface, drawing air into their lungs. Whilst adults might hang around on the surface to find a mate, for the young, it's best not to dwell too long in the open water, as danger is never far away. The adult diving beetle is here to breathe too. Time to move on. Luckily, what goes up can also come down. After all, control of your buoyancy works both ways. In a few months, they'll have big, tough shells and speed on their side to keep them safe. For now, it's a constant game of hide and seek in a life full of ups and downs.
All of that in a garden pond. All of that drama, ecology, the predation, the prey.
All stuff that we never really get to see
Yep.
properly unless
Yep.
you watch Springwatch. Well, from the drama of a pond that is very unknown to the drama in a pine tree. And this amazing behaviour was filmed in a heath just down the road from here that's managed by Forestry England, and it all happens in the trunk of a pine. So this is the trunk, lots of little holes there, and they've been made by conifer beetle larvae that have since left. And look closely, you can see that the holes are surrounded by small mounds of dried up sap, and this is what makes them. It's a tiny wasp. It's called a resin wasp, otherwise known as a pine aphid wasp. And what they do is they collect resin from other pine trees and they stick it around the entrance of the holes. Now, that is very sticky and difficult to manipulate. So you see what it's doing? It's got little tiny hairs on its mandibles and it pulses it to keep the resin moving, and that stops it setting. And look at this, it's inside. It takes little bits at a time. If it takes too much, then it all gets stuck together. Once it's stuck it around that hole, it then plugs the hole up. So as you can see again, little tiny bits of resin, and then you can really see what it does now with those mandibles. It stirs the resin around to keep it soft and malleable so it can really plug that hole, and it's plugging the hole to protect the contents inside.
What an extraordinary thing.
Isn't it just?
We all know how
stirring?
sticky resin is. We've seen insects trapped in resin, amber, Jurassic Park. You know, it's really dangerous stuff, and yet this little wasp is able to manipulate it to make this ring of resin outside of its hole. And it's there to protect that hole, as you say, from predators. It's got antimicrobial properties too, and they come into their own once you go inside. And this fantastic model allows us to do that. This is what's inside. So essentially here, you've got the chamber that's been left by the beetle. The wasp goes in, takes some of the resin down, makes a plug at the back. It then lays an egg into this chamber and provisions it with lots of pine aphids. So it flies out, kills pine aphids and packs them into this chamber here. It then makes another plug here out of yet more resin, and then lays a second egg here, and again flies out and fills that up with the dead bodies of pine aphids. 2 or 3 weeks later, the egg hatches and begins to feed on that larder of food that the adult, long left, has left inside for it, and it grows here into a pupae. A little later, this one will hatch too and begin to feed. After a couple of weeks, this one pupates, and then it hatches 2 or 3 weeks later. Now, because it's been laid first, it hatches first. But what would happen if it busted out through here? It would trash this one. That wouldn't work. So it waits patiently in there until it senses that the larvae that's pupated into an adult has emerged here. And most often, these are the males, and they will emerge first, fly off and get ready for the females at the back here to emerge so that they're ready to mate. Of course, that all works because long ago, the wasp has plugged the entrance to that resin chamber using more resin. Surely, nothing can go wrong. Everything's safe in here. They are secure.
Well, that's where the drama continues, because most predators can't get in there, but there is one that can penetrate it, and it's another wasp, and it's an ichneumon wasp who is also looking for somewhere to lay its eggs, and it does that using its long ovipositor. And first of all, though, it uses its antennae to smell out a stocked resin wasp nest. And it drills through the resin. You can see it doing it there with its ovipositor. And then it lays an egg inside. And then it pulls the ovipositor out, wipes it off. The deed is done, and off it goes.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've got a model here of that ichneummonid wasp. It's a parasitoid, so it's laying its egg onto the outside of the larvae here. That ovipositor can measure up to 1.3 centimetres in length. It inserts it through the hole there, as we've seen. It goes in. Now look, things could go wrong here. It's got to lay that egg directly onto the larvae. It can't see it. How does it find it? Well, we think that the tip of the ovipositor is equipped with sensory organs that allow it to directly lay the egg. Would you hold the Hold on, where are my eggs? Here's my egg here. Gosh, I've almost lost my parasitoid abilities. Those chemical sensors on the end of the ovipositor allow it to lay the egg directly here. Now, we don't know what goes on inside these chambers. That's yet to be investigated. Mike Edwards, Lucy Agus have got theories about that. They've been helping us with the information here. It could hatch out, dive inside and feed from the inside, or it could feed from the outside. But whatever, what it does is mature more quickly than this one. It will eat that, and then it will break out, and the whole cycle will start again. Absolutely amazing. Passer locus ermita versus Palmeria notata. Two little wasps going about this business out here on World Environment Day. God, I mean, you can keep your elephants and your blue whales. This is sensational.
I mean, it is, we've always said, don't we, it's so amazing when you look into the behaviour of the little stuff. It's so often so much more interesting than
so
the bigger stuff. It's so good. I'll tell you what, we're going to be dreaming of this tonight, Megan. You can keep your dreams of the kites and flying. We're going to be dreaming of all these wasps.
Oh, Michaela, it's uber nerdy and I love it. I'm absolutely here for it. Now you can see the red kite hide behind me where lots of people can come and see the red kites for themselves. And lots of people do. Sometimes as you're driving down the motorway, you see red kites. And that's because they're often attracted to roadkill, because when we think of the diet of a red kite, we often consider them to be scavengers. We think that they are, oh, I think do we have a live red kite right now? I'm not sure we do. Okay, so oh no. I thought we had them, that's okay. So essentially we think of these animals as scavengers. They come down to collect carrion, they come down to roadsides, but they can be really impressive hunters in their own right, given the opportunity and the need. They can take small birds, they can take small mammals, but remarkably, Jeff Harris captured these amazing photographs of them taking, well, fish. Now, I have never expected a red kite to take fish like this, but they have been seen to do it, and they think that obviously, whilst they're not specialised like an osprey at catching fish, they're able to find the ones that are perhaps dead or dying, not doing very well, that float to the surface, and at that point, they pinpoint them, scoop down, and get a bit of an easy meal. But some fantastic photos there from Jeff. But to really appreciate red kites, you have to see them as masters of the air, up in the sky where they belong, because their manoeuvrability is fascinating. Now, as with most birds, it's the wings which provide the lift. It keeps the body weight of the animal up in the air, and it's the tail that acts like a rudder, doing the direction, going up or going down. And it's always fascinating to see. And red kites are quite specialist in the fact that they're low and slow soaring animals. And they often interact with each other, they come to similar feeding sites, so they have to be incredibly flexible with how they move, moving their wings, making sure that they don't come crashing to the ground where they come and grab bits of carrion. They have to move quite quickly to get out of the way of one another, especially roadkill, of course, that could be quite dangerous for them. So they have particular ways of doing it, and it's all to do with their tail. So watch this and really, really look at the detail of how that tail moves throughout the air in turbulent conditions, even in wind. So they have the ability to expand their tail, and this is when they're at slow speeds. They can widen their tail and they tilt it downward for added lift. Imagine you've got your coat in the wind, but let's look back a little bit at them doing this. You can see it expanding, but you can also see it contracting, and they do this when they want to speed up. They can thin their tail out, it reduces the drag, they tilt the tail up, and it gives them that lift that they need. I find this just remarkable. The science, the ability to understand how these animals move is just brilliant. But in order to understand it and appreciate it fully, we have to compare it to the tail of another. So here I've got my tail of the red kite compared to the buzzard. And the line here illustrates the main triangle, the maximal span width, these triangles, and this helps the wings with the lift. And anything below this red line helps the animal with drag, slowing down or speeding up in direction. Now the buzzard has a greater surface area, as you can see, than the red kite, which just has these two forks. This means that it has more flexibility, more control, as these forks can slice through the air, giving them a greater breadth of manoeuvrability when they really need it. And you can really see it when they're soaring. The red kites have the ability to stop flapping their wings when they're soaring and just use their tail. You can see it there. It's remarkable. So when you're looking at a red kite again in the sky, you'll be thinking about how they're using that tail, making those really precise decisions. Now, they are absolute heroes for me, and yesterday we crowned our unsung hero for under-18s. And now it's my absolute privilege to say that we're going to be doing the same for the over-18s tonight. I'm at the WWT's London Wetland Centre in Barnes with my team of judges. The Sultan of Scrutiny, Jim Moyer, and the eagle-eyed Dr. Amir Khan. We've picked our winner for the under-18s category. Now it's time to consider the over-18s, and it's a packed field. So there are 32 finalists for the over-18s. We're judging just by their written nominations alone, but we've asked our finalists to send in videos so that we can see them in action.
Come on then.
Well, let's take a look.
Noel Moss, who's 87, digs ponds, provides nest box, leads Toad Watch.
That's what you all dream to be when you're 87,
Yes.
isn't it? A bit like Noel.
I'm Diane and I'm the founder of Prickly Pigs Hedgehog Rescue here in West Yorkshire. We take in over 500 hedgehogs every year.
Britain's favourite mammal. Very cute. People love them.
I'm Victoria from the Kippax Wildlife Corridor in Leeds, West Yorkshire.
She's got people locally connecting the habitats of the gardens.
Hi, my name is Ju Walker. I've been a volunteer for the Swan Sanctuary for about 20 years.
She's saved so many birds.
We've got bluebells coming back. They wasn't there 5 years ago.
Frederick Hookins. He's transformed an area where he works in a grey space to a thriving green place.
Wilson Johnston. Now, he founded the Heart of Down Red Squirrel Group.
We do educational pop-ups and basically try and enthuse as many people as possible to become citizen scientists.
Look at these animals that he's helping. Not just the red squirrels, but pine martens, something else that I know you love.
Brent Lodge Wildlife Hospital, established over 50 years ago.
So I have a bit of a confession to make.
Yeah.
When I was 12, I actually started volunteering at the Brent Lodge Wildlife Hospital. The work they do is just phenomenal.
Cum Allen Wildlife Group. Over the period of 40 to 50 years, the group has been dedicated to conservation works in the Allen Valley. Peter Merchant, 85 years old and has a licence to handle birds of prey and has released over 1,300.
Peregrines appeared here at British Telecom in 2018, and by installing this nest box, we've been able to widen the view of all of their employees.
It sounds like James Bond, the licence to handle birds.
Yeah. But James Bond of wildlife.
My name's Jeanette Jones, and I've been running this amazing rescue for nearly 10 years, rehabilitating hedgehogs with this amazing team.
Hedgehogs again! Hedgehogs so popular! Jeanette's working at least 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, caring for over 100 hedgehogs at a time. Maybe all these northern hedgehog people should all get together and take one huge city like Bradford and turn it into a hedgehog hospital.
Haven.
Speaking as a Bradfordian, we would welcome all.
All right, well, look, you can start it.
Next, we have the USPCA Volunteer Wildlife Group. Now, these guys are based in Northern Ireland. There's 30 of them, and what they do is wildlife rescue. And these rescuers work around the clock.
They will drop work, social events, or even a school run for a quick response.
Proper wholesome people. We've got Anthony and Ute, and they run a wildlife rescue in one of the most desolate areas in the UK. People bring in lots of injured and sick wildlife from all over the region.
As you can see, we really fight against the weather up here.
Anthony has post-army PTSD and has been working with animals to help him work through this. So up next, we've got Kevin Milligan. Now, Kevin came to loving wildlife through a pretty dark place, actually. He decided one day to go off to the woods, and he was thinking about taking his own life. But it was at this moment he came across some red squirrels. And this totally transformed his thinking on life in general. And he has spent over 5,000 hours volunteering for wildlife because of this.
Yeah, that's incredible, actually.
He's saving the lives of the animals who saved him. Colin Gibson, now he's known as Owl Man, which already I love.
Yeah.
And he retired 13 years ago, but since then he's dedicated to making lots of different types of bird boxes.
I started off by making small bird nest boxes, but I've got a passion now for barn owls.
Best birds in the world.
So that's a bold statement.
Unless you're a vole.
Over the years, I've made over 600 owl nest boxes.
So not only is he giving them homes, he's also
Yeah.
going and monitoring them as the nest progresses, seeing how the chicks are doing, contributing to science.
Yeah.
Like, this is a man on a mission.
Sally Wolf, 80 years old, and is described as an unstoppable force dedicated to enhancing wildlife.
You can often see her marching back through the town after a hard day's work covered in mud, just quietly works on her projects and is driven by her passion.
Wasting nothing, nurturing everything.
I love that. That's a really beautiful, beautiful phrase. Every person is doing something pretty phenomenal.
So how are we going to pick a winner amongst those?
It's going to be an impossible task, isn't it?
So should we just make them all winners?
I wish we could.
Yes.
I wish we could.
But of course we can't. One must rise to the top. So, who will it be?
Our 3 erstwhile judges discussed, deliberated, and eventually came up with a decision. Here's the over 18 winner of our Wildlife Hero Awards for 2024.
This is Gerddi Rodyfi Gardens in Llynlleth in Mid Wales. It's a community garden.
This is just one of the places our over 18s winner can be found toiling for nature. Sally Worth.
Found some lovely little holes of mammals that are in the debris.
Is it a bit of a nice surprise when you find...
Yes, yes, it's terribly exciting. Yes, yes, I have to go and tell everybody. Because we do need our rodents, don't we?
Sally is like probably the most dedicated volunteer. She'll be here come rain, come shine. Even when we've got to sort of close the sessions because it's not safe, because it's icy or snowy, she'll be like, come on, let's go and do some gardening.
Well, I just love doing it. I wouldn't do it otherwise, would I?
She's planted just so many trees over her time, nurtured so many habitats in a really quite interesting way. Her approach to gardening is quite unique, I think.
We don't let it go rampantly wild, but we try and manage it to give space for nature to do her own thing.
There's amphibians, there's so many birds, so many different flowers, and an unbelievable amount of pollinators. And some of them have been quite rare. You know, there's been ant experts that have come and said, God, we haven't had this ant in this region.
It's your contribution to the environment. Well, that's how I feel it is. Each person does their little bit.
I'm worried I'm pulling out interesting things.
Well, I know, but if you do it with your hands, then you're not doing too much damage.
That's it. It's just like grazing, isn't it? She spent all of her retirement working either here or on other sites, working a 5-day week for wildlife, I sort of think. I nominated her because she is so humble.
Well, I don't know why they nominated me, and I'll still maintain that.
I think she's got no idea, really, of the impact she's had.
How did you feel when you found out you'd won?
Well, thrilled to bits on one level, absolutely, woohoo, yes, yes. I'm very flattered, but then it's all a bit alien to me, I'm afraid.
Even though she hates the attention, I think she deserves the recognition. This is like the work of her retirement, really, all here, and all this amazing life wouldn't have happened without her. So I'm really proud that we've got a chance to show her off. Yeah.
Well, I'm pleased to say that Sally has joined us here in Arm this afternoon, so I can personally congratulate her and present her with her trophy. Sally, I love it. Looking for insects in the beautiful foxgloves, doing exactly what you do best. First of all, congratulations.
I can't believe it. Honestly, it's such a shock. It still hasn't, the penny hasn't dropped yet, but never mind, but thank you so much.
Sally, you know a lot about gardening. If there was one tip that you could give people to help wildlife in their gardens, what would it be?
Difficult, but I think let the grass grow really tall, let it go to seed, watch it blow in the wind.
And embrace the weeds.
Embrace the weeds, yes. This is a weed, isn't it beautiful?
What you do is hard work. Why do you do it? What drives you?
I love being outside. I love being out in the countryside, and it's just doing something for nature. Whatever you can. We've only got one short life. We have to contribute as much as we possibly can to keep it going.
You really have helped wildlife, and that's what makes you our winner for our Wildlife Hero Awards. And here is your plaque.
Thank
Well
you.
done, Sally. Ooh!
Here we are.
Look at that!
On cue. On cue.
So many people out there doing fantastic work to help wildlife, but Sally, a very deserved winner. Congratulations. Well, as you can tell, I've lowered my voice because I come into the wood now, and I'm going to go into a hide where wildlife camera operator James Stevens is waiting for me. Now, here are a few tips if you're ever going to go watch badgers at a set. First of all, they have a very keen sense of smell, so make sure that the breeze is in your face. They can hear well, so keep your voice down, settle down far enough away, 20 metres at least away. We're about 35 metres away, because obviously I'm going to carry on talking. Right, let's get in here. James, hope you got some good news for me. Anything?
Nothing at all, mate, sorry.
Nothing at all, okay. Nothing at all at the moment, nothing at all yet, but we've still got time. Now, you'll be surprised at what turns up here, as we found out on our camera trap. We actually captured a brown hare. Now, hares we associate with being out in open ground, but they will sometimes come into woodlands. And while we've got time, while we're waiting, how about those bones, those remains of rabbits that we found by the entrance hall? Were they badgers? Well, do you know what? I don't think so. Why do I say that? Well, because badgers are obsessively clean mammals. They're constantly changing the bedding in the chambers, in those sets, dragging out the old bedding and dragging in some new material. And with that, of course, are going to come all kinds of prey remains, bones. So I don't think it'll be badgers. And yet, having said that, take a look at this. This is an adult badger bringing in a baby rabbit for its two cubs, or badgerlets as they're sometimes called. And there they are. That is quite a mouthful for those two there. They're omnivores, of course. They'll take advantage of anything and everything. So the badger's not out of the picture yet. But there's one more mammal we captured on our camera trap. We haven't shown you that. And it's this mammal here. Quite shy, quite elusive here. It's a fox, a red fox, just a glimpse, and off he goes. And I've seen foxes using badger sets in the past. They'll even go there and give birth to their cubs, especially when you get a big set like this one. And if the badgers are using one bit of it, and the fox will go into the other end. And I have to say that my money is on the fox. The fox is nowhere near as clean an animal as a badger, and it leaves prey remains around the earth, around its hole, its burrow, if you like. So I suspect it's a fox. Right, let's go back and have another look. James, anything at all? No?
Sorry.
No? Nothing at all. Well, we have nothing, but James is going to stay here right through till the end of the show. And Chris, Michaela, believe me, if anything comes, we will shout. And I've got to tell you this, right? You two have gone out, looked for badgers live. You've seen them every time. Megan's gone out to look for badgers live. She's seen them every time. I've now gone out 4 times to look for badgers. Nothing. Nothing.
And Yolo, I even wore my lucky badger jumper for you. This was hoping that you would see lots of live badgers. Never mind.
He hasn't got the badger touch, that's
He
for
can't
sure.
leave there until he's seen live badgers. He'll be there tomorrow.
OK, let's take a look at our live nests now. Got some of them here. Oyster catcher, still incubating there, look. Barn owl at the top. They've got young. Let's go to our kestrels, though. There, things look quite calm in the kestrel's nest at the moment. Look at that individual. You can see very clearly side on there the way that those juvenile feathers are coming through. When they initially fledge, they look a lot more like the female than the male. And that is relatively a picture of serenity in the nest, because we've been watching them throughout the course of the day and their behaviour is very different. So there they are on the left, 28th of May, just a few days ago, covered in that grey down coat. Packed into that box now, 5 surviving chicks. Every time the adult comes in, it's a tug of war over the prey, desperate to eat as much as they possibly can. Eventually one of them gets it, finds a corner, mantles it with their wings, keeping all of the others away, shielding them from that prey so that it can eat it itself. Quite interesting that the adults are bringing in less prey now than they were a few days ago. The growth rate of these birds has slowed down. And of course, overnight, they forgive all of their boisterous behaviour during the course of the day, and they'll snuggle up to keep warm in the back of that nest. And look at that, absolutely delightful. Unless your brother or sister is practising flying for the weeks ahead, which could be quite irritating.
It's absolute mayhem in there, isn't it? I mean, when they all start flapping, they're just going to be bursting out, but
yeah.
Really lovely to see them. Do you know, I said at the beginning of the show that there was 2 new nests to show you. And before I show you the second one, I'm just going to remind you of one that Chris showed you on Monday when he was in the truck, and that's our reed warbler. Here it is live. Look at that. It's a gorgeous little nest that the female weaves together with reed stems. Looking beautiful in there. 5 chicks, 6 to 7 days old, and it's over the reed bed because although most of this is heath, there is a freshwater reed bed as well down in the south of the reserve. So that's our reed warbler. The new nest we've got is our reed bunting. And here it is. And as I say, it's very near the other one, well, 35 metres away, but also in the reed bed. Very low down, typically it nests in the roots. The adults are kind of known as LBJs, little brown jobbies. And there you've got the nest, and in there we've got 4 chicks, 4 to 5 days old. And as I say, they're known as LBJs. And you can see the male that's just hopped out has the blacker head. Both of them are feeding. The female makes the nest. Both of them feed. It's usually the female that does the brooding. But I'd say both of them are flying around, collecting insects. That's what they're feeding the chicks. At this time of the year, it's mainly insects, spiders and caterpillars. And then the male comes in, and off he goes, does a bit of cleaning. I'd say both of them are bringing food. Both of them are doing a good job. Those chicks are being fed a lot. And then the male typically wouldn't brood, but this one is a modern male, Chris. He's a modern male. And after he's done a bit of feeding, there he goes. Down he goes onto the nest. Absolutely lovely.
Lots of caterpillars and spiders coming in.
Exactly.
Which they switch to feeding on at this time of year, because in the wintertime they're granivorous birds, they're feeding on seeds, but they switch around pretty much all of their diet to insects at this time of year. I'll tell you what, let's catch up with one of our very best nests now. Let's see if we can find the princess of Purbeck. Let's have a look. Let's go into the nest. Oh, there's our young peregrine there. Look at that. Sleeping, unfortunately not getting a cracking view of that. I'm a bit disappointed by the position of that young peregrine. Kestrels performed adequately. We've been watching these peregrines though, and oh my goodness, look at that, statuesque on the top of Corfe Castle, the princess in profile. Come on. And they've been bringing plenty of prey. Of course, they've only got that one youngster, so there's no shortage of food. Here we go, male and female at the nest together. Female there on the left, a much larger bird. She takes responsibility for feeding the youngster. Male's delivering food, but she takes over after the ghastly goings-on in the early process of this breeding attempt. I'm not surprised that she's taken control. But this youngster's growing strong. Look at that. What a bird, what a nest. superb.
It's really grown, hasn't it? It's brilliant to see. I mean, it was a bit dramatic at the beginning with that nest, but now it's doing really well. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that chick. But I think after all that screeching of the female, I think we need a little bit of a quiet, a little bit of a breather, a little bit of, well, some nice sights and sounds of, what about a woodland?
I like a nuthatch. I mean, they're quite serene there, but I mean, they can be quite bolshy little birds on the bird feeder.
With a little stripe, yeah, I like that too. I like that too. Do you know?
There we are, mindfulness there.
Oh yeah, mindfulness, yeah.
Bit of tranquility. The other day I had the privilege of doing the sleeping forecast for Radio 4. You can find it on BBC Sounds. A really beautiful piece of prose by W.H. Hudson. Check that out, BBC Sounds.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoy that, don't they? Definitely. Do you know there is something that none of us have seen since we've been here? It's a stoat. Have you seen or heard of any stoats?
No.
So we thought we'd show you a picture of a stoat that somebody sent in, which is absolutely brilliant. This is Tony Rawson. Not only is it a brilliant action shot, it's got something in its mouth. You might think it's prey, but if you look closer, it's a kit. So clearly this stoat is taking that kit from one den to another, and that's what they do. So scampering across. It would be nice to see one though, wouldn't it?
Laura Corkendale sent us this. This is a female crab spider, the large, pale animal there. But look, clamped underneath her opisthoma is the much smaller male in the process of mating. This is Misumena, and you can find these in your garden on daisies and dandelions.
So a stoater spider, how about a moth? This is a beautiful picture that's been sent in by Bob E. That's an emperor moth. You can find them here at Arn. I love it. Really gorgeous with its wings out there, isn't it?
Stunning,
Lovely.
absolutely stunning. Big feathery antennae there, you see, for attracting the pheromones that are cast by the females so they can find them. Sadly, that's all we've got time for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I'm meeting a legend of conservation, celebrating the life of the one and only Roy Dennis.
And I'll be investigating the damning behaviour of the beavers that make their home at Argety.
And I'm going to be looking for the most southerly breeding puffins on the UK mainland.
And don't forget, you can watch all of our live cameras on iPlayer from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. And at 9:15, just after our show, there'll be some chatting from Laura and Jack from our story developer Truck. So they'll be telling you all about the nests and the birds as well. We'll be back tomorrow with more beauty, with more science, with more updates from the nests as well. In the meantime, keep sending your stuff in. You know the address, photos, videos. Are you worried about the midges?
The midges,
Just
the
think
midges.
of Megan yesterday. There's nothing, honestly. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock. Bye-bye. You can explore some of our amazing and different species and the diverse habitats in which they live by ordering the Open University's free poster. To get your copy, call 0300 303 2465 or go to bbc.co.uk/Springwatch and follow the links to the Open University.